everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi, my name is Gbemi Abiola, welcome. So today I have a really exciting video for you guys, and that is I will be ranking my entire Melt Cosmetics eyeshadow collection. So every single stack, every single palette that they've come out with, every palette, stack turned palette, like everything. If you guys don't know already, I'm a really big fan of Melt. I use them a lot in my makeup looks. I've been rocking with them since the company first founded, like 8 years ago, 2013. So I've seen everything that they've released, and I have almost everything that they've ever released. So yeah, I thought I would share with you guys what my favorites out of their entire eyeshadow lines are, share with you the discontinued ones, the permanent ones that they have, everything. So yeah, if you're interested, please keep on watching, and if you are not, please stop right here. It's not worth your time and effort. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking. Starting off at dead last, number 22, is the Impulsive palette. And some of you are probably thinking like, Bems, why is it last? But love the print packaging. I love how it says Impulsive. I like all of this. It's very beautiful. The packaging is great. But the actual like packaging, like not the print, but this packaging is too bulky. It's way too bulky, and it's so hard to store. The other palettes are like flat, so I can just easily stack them on top of each other, but this is so bulky. This is crazy bulky. This is Melt's first 18 pan palette, so all their other palettes are either 8 or 10 pan. The color story is just scattered to me. It's just scatterbrained. I can't get a full cohesive look out of this. Like, I cannot. When I look at this, my brain melts because I don't know what to do with it. I literally only bring this color out if I need a specific shade in a look, for a look, or if I'm doing swatch comparisons. That's the only time I bring this palette out, and that's not often. Ranking it at number 21 is the Shape Shift Stack. If I can open this stack properly. Yeah, the Shape Shift Stack. So number 21. So this was Melt's first like duochrome, first and only duochrome inspired stack. It was supposed to be limited edition, but yeah, it's a very beautiful stack. You have, like, you can see it shifts a little bit for these. I really like this. The reason why it's at number 21 is because I honestly forget every time that I have this stack. Like, I forget that I have this stack, and then I remember when I'm doing comparison swatches, obviously. But yeah, that's the reason why it's at number 21. I just forget about this. Like, I forget about this. Like, I'll go and pull out other Melt shadows, but I forget about this. Also, the formula of these is quite chunky, but nothing that it can't fix. Like, nothing that can't be fixed, like, with using a little bit of Fix Plus when applying. But for the most part, like, just me forgetting that I have this. That's really beautiful stack, though. Really beautiful stack. I would like to see an improved version of this stack in palette form if they ever decide to turn it into a palette. But yeah, I think it'll do better in a palette. Next up, ranked at number 20, this is a double. So this is the Melt She's and Parties palette slash stack. So the She's and Parties stack came out first. This came out in, I think, 2017. And then the palette was released last year. It's ranked at number 20 because berry tones are not my fave. I do not gravitate towards berry tones at all. I will not naturally wear them. If I'm doing a pink look, I'll usually use berry tones just to supplement the pink, just to keep it within that color realm. But for the most part, like, just doing a berry look by itself, I just don't do. Like I said, the stack came out first, and then last year Melt expanded it and added 4 more shades to create an 8-pan palette. So the new shades in here are Lost Control, Sleepwalk, which is this shade, Strange Love, Total Immortal, which is this lavender shade. So those are the 4 additional shades that they've added to finalize with this palette. But for the most part, it's ranked at 20 because I don't really mess with berries that much. However, this palette is a really great palette paired with Millenial Pinx. However, because of the pink theme that runs through it, I use them in tandem together and they work really, really nicely. At number 19, we have the Radioactive Stack slash palette. So the stack came out first in 2015, 2016, I think so. And then it was converted into a palette, I think in 2019, I think. Yes, in 2019. This is Melt's very first like colorful, super colorful. It's radioactive element inspired type thing. Really cool. With this stack, I have broken like 3 of these before the stack got discontinued. I broke like 3 of these because I think this was the most fragile out of all the Melt stacks. So I was really happy when it came out with the palette. Obviously you can see the palette is more expanded. So it has the original 4 shades in here, and then you have 4 more shades. You have 2 teals, 2 teal blues, and you have 2 purples. I don't wear this palette often. I only pull it out if I require one of the shades for a look, but for the most part that's not often because I typically like deeper colors, more jewel tones, neutrals. That's how typically like what I like. So ranked at number 18, we have the Waiting Room palette from the Beetlejuice collection. So this was the 10-pan palette from the collection. This is ranked at number, which number this is? Hold on, let me pull up my phone. Ranked at number 18 because Melt has very similar shades to this for I think like 7 out of 10 shades are very similar. The black, the reds, Juno, that sparkly silver. Like Melt already has similar shades, so that's why it's ranked towards the bottom, because I can go into other Melt palettes and pull these shades already, except for 2 grays, Tombstone and Shrunken Head, and then Sandworm is a very unique shade. Like I mentioned in the Beetlejuice video, if you wanted to check that out, it'll be up here in the eye, right up here. But for the most part, like you can do like 70-80% of the palette out with existing Melt shades. I would naturally grab those first before dipping into this palette. If you really wanted this palette, as well as the recently deceased palette and the rest of the Beetlejuice collection, it will not be coming back, unfortunately. It was Melt's Holiday 2020 collection, and they only had a one-time run licensing agreement with Warner Bros. So unfortunately, that's why it's like it was one and then out. So next up we have Vita at number 17. Vita is very beautiful. I'm not gonna knock it. Vita is very beautiful. However, the reason why it's towards the bottom at number 17 is because the only thing that's saving it from being at like the very bottom are the like oranges and the red. These shades are so beautiful. Like they're so beautiful. Warm reds, oranges, Olay through Sarape over here, right? Totally through Sarape, you could dupe them out with other Melt shadows. Sarape is unique compared to others since it's like more Kelly green versus more like olive green. But like Papel Picado, Amor Eternal, Agua Ardiente, Chocolate, Tole, you could dupe them out with other Melt shades. So they're not unique to Melt. Like, so 6 out of 10 shades are not very unique compared to the other 4. So I only really pull these out for like the oranges and the reds. Woo! The number 16 is the Sculpt Stack. If you guys watched my Sculpt Stack video, I'll link it in the eye up here. I was not pleased with this stack at all. This was supposed to be a universal face, an eye, contour stack. There was also a cream version. So the cream version was geared more toward deep skin, which y'all already know my feelings on that stack. And then this is geared mostly towards like light medium, but for everybody as well. This stack does not work on the face. check out that video. Like I said, does not work on the face. This palette is cute though. The stack is cute though. If you want to like build some structure in your crease, just do some blending, transitions. This is a good transition stack for the eyes. It is cooler toned, so if you want like more cooler toned transitions, this is really, really good for that. Yeah, like that's the only reason. Like it's a good like quick throw something in your crease and go. Number 15, we have this little cutie right here. So this is Melt's Petite Stack. This came out with the Petite collection that came out I think in February. Yeah. So it came out with 5 little cute mini shades. The packaging is not magnetic, it is cardboard. So I think it's recyclable, which is really, really good. So this is like the first like eco-friendly, I think, product from Melt where you can recycle it. 5 shades, obviously. I'm just gonna like put them through my fingers so you guys can see all of them. So here's 4, and then here's the darkest one, the 5th one. This stack is really cute. Like the Sculpt stack, it's like for something if you want like super quick. I like the size of it because you can store it easily. You can throw it in your makeup bag and just be like, okay, I have like a quick thing that I can do like a quick like work look for. I can do a quick smoky eye for. But yeah, it's really easy. You have 4 mattes, 1 shimmer, so you can get that little like highlight, inner corner highlight all over the lid. Boom. You get a little bit of razzle dazzle. For these 2 matte shades, so this one and this one, they're more kind of like erasing shades on me. They're not really like transition shades, but like the 2 darkest shades, like this one is a really nice transition and this is a really nice like quick like smoky liner type situation. Really pretty. Like I said, it's something you can toss in your purse, go toss in your travel bag, go. But would I necessarily pull it out just to use for every day? No, I wouldn't. Ranked at number 14, we have the Haze Stack. I'm so sorry for the appearances of my stack. I've had them for so long. I've used them a lot, so they're just sorry. Anja and Haze, for me, carry this stack. So this gold shade right here and the red came out in the Hot Box collection, which was their very first 420 inspired collection in 2018. I love the formula of these. They're very creamy, very soft, and like they're super pigmented. Like just they're super pigmented. You don't even need a lot. But yeah, it's basically Haze and Ganja that carry this for me. Bogart's also a really pretty copper shade. It's this shade right here, and it looks really nice with warm, like very warm orange. Like it's very beautiful color. The shade Indica is not really my fave because I don't really wear silver like that, but it is pretty for the occasions where you just want to add like a touch of silver. But I don't pull this out obviously because it's all shimmer and I need to pull like mattes in with it. For me personally, I like to have everything in a palette. My mattes, my shimmers, I can just grab it and then just do it and go. So but yeah, this is something that you need to have like other eyeshadows with. Ranked at number 13 is the Recently Deceased palette. So this is the other Beetlejuice palette that came out this past holiday. So this is ranked at number 13 in the middle. I love it primarily because of the purple. So this was the first palette that we really got to see Melt show off purples. They don't really do purples like they do warm rusty tones. They've done cool tones, they've done berry tones, they've done electric tones, but this was the first time like we actually got to see some purples, because before the Beetlejuice collection came out, I was like looking through, I'm like, we don't really have a lot of purples from Melt. So once they came out with this, I was like, purple, and purple is one of my favorite colors, so I was really excited for it because it was new shades. Obviously they look very similar. I wish there was some variation. The mattes are variation, but it's like the 2 shimmery purples. I wish there's actually more variation between the 2 because they can look very similar in the pan and you can forget which one you're using. Obviously the 2 matte greens, you can dupe them out with other Melt shadows. They're like nothing like unique. But that foresty green right here, that's a very unique shade because Melt had never had a shade like that before. Not even in the Shape Shift stack I checked. This is a very unique shade. Paranormal, this shade right here. Neurotic, this shade, it's close to Ganja, but not really. It's more green. This ranks at this position because the purples carry it for me. At number 12 is the 27 palette. So this is Dana's, one of the founders of NARS. This was her birthday palette that came out in 2018. The palette goes with several of the other Melt palettes very, very well. It goes well with Rust. It goes well with She's in Parties. It goes well with Millennial Pinx. Have like those warm, it's a warm palette, but you also have like some like peach in there, some berry in there. It's a very multi-use palette. If you don't want to go something that's very, very like rusty, warm, heavy, like Rust, you want something that's more kind of like on that peachy wavelength, this one is a really good fit for you. Moxie, this beautiful orange shade, I did swatch it on my hand, that matte right there. Very beautiful orange shade. Nip Slip and Downtown, so these rosy pink colors, those work very, very well with Millennial Pinx. So really, really gorgeous palette. It's just ranked at number 12 because it's just like, man, I pull it out sometimes, I don't pull it out. It's kind of like, I have to be in the mood for it. It's one of those palettes for me. So ranked at number 11 is Baby Girl. So this is the Melt Baby Girl stack. This came out in the Hopeless Romantics collection. Melt doesn't have a lot of these shades actually. They don't really do a lot of orange or coral shades. This I know is one of the stacks that people want turned into a palette. I would like to see this turned into a palette as well. The reason why it's ranked at number 11 is it's just really pretty. I do love these tones. However, I feel like it fits in the middle as to like I don't, like I use it, but it's like I don't, like I'm not like meh about it. I'm just like meh. Like I like it, but it's not like in my top, but it's not in my bottom. It just kind of fits right in the middle. This works really, really well with 27, well with Vita. It works well with the Radioactive palette and stack. It works well with Muerte. It works well with Rust. Like this is one of those stacks that works with a good portion of it. It even works very well with Impulsive. So at number 10, I actually tied these two because I feel like this one, it was converted into this, and that is the Gunmetal and the Mary Jane palette. I have the Mary Jane palette on my eyes. That's primarily what I used on my face today, on my eyes today, with a touch of Rust. So that's Gunmetal. This came out in fall 2016. You know, Melt usually does warm, rusty greens. That's how their whole thing, but this is like their first cool tone. And then this just recently came out. I think because Melt is transferring their stacks to palettes, I think the Mary Jane is the replacement for the Gunmetal. If you didn't watch my Mary Jane collection video, I'll link it up in the eye. It's actually the previous video before this. I'm tying these because I usually don't like cool tones. If you know me, I don't really like cool tones. I typically like warm, rusty tones. But however, ever since I got Gunmetal back then, I actually really like this a lot. I can warm it up, I can cool it down. Same thing with this. I can go olivey like I did today. Of course, like this is like more like, even though it has like the cooler tones like this, it has that like extra zing in Mary Jane with the olive tones. But I can warm it up, cool it down, make it olive, make it, I could do all sorts of things. People who definitely do not like warm tones, so like not Rust, not 27. I think you'll really like Mary Jane a lot, especially if you wanted Gunmetal. They have very similar colors in here. For example, Kali, which is the shade, and then Hearthstone White. Those are very, very close. You still get the same vibes from each. Ranked at number 9. 99999. The very, very popular Gemini palette. This is Laura's birthday palette that came out in 2018. This was originally supposed to be limited edition, but like people loved it so much, so they kept bringing it back. The reason why this is so popular is because back in 2018, nobody was doing olive toned eyeshadows. Nobody was doing them. And Melt dropped this palette back then. Everybody went crazy for it. Everybody went crazy for it because nobody was doing olives. Really like this palette, like a lot. Definitely this, when I want to do an olive green look, this is the palette that I pull out first. I'll usually pull this out with 420 and I'll do an olive green look with this. I've used it with Mary Jane. It pairs very well with Mary Jane as well. So, but yeah, this is a really nice palette. I know for a fact, like, it's like sold out everywhere. I don't know if they discontinued it. I don't know if they're bringing it back. I don't know if they're redoing the formulation, but this is the one palette that people always want from them and for them to like restock. So ranked at number 8 is 420, and this was last year's 420 inspired collection. I really like this palette, and it's probably not because like, oh, the colors. I actually really like it because it's, I think, the one palette from Melt that is primarily matte heavy. Because for Melt, it's either like all shimmers or like very few mattes sprinkled through. And I like how basically almost all the shades are matte. Of course, I use it mostly for like the oranges and the yellows because those are the colors I typically like when I do my makeup. The greens are really pretty, but it's like I mostly stick to like this half of the palette, you know? But, and also the packaging is cool. Like, look. I forgot what this is called, but it's like, when you move it, it moves. And for me, I would rather have a palette be more matte heavy than shimmer heavy. Or at least if it's going to have shimmer in them, it needs to be split 50-50. So ranked at number 7, we have the Love Six Stack. So this was like, I think the very first eyeshadow stack that Melt ever came out with, I think in 2015, I think. Yes, 2015 or 2016. This is like the first one alongside Dark Matter, which Dark Matter is next. When I first saw it, I was just like, okay, so how am I supposed to like create a look with it? But you can actually do. This is very unique, especially this shade right here is called Fixated. It's like a blue gray. It's like a blue steel gray. It actually works really well with the gunmetal eyeshadow. So it's a very unique shade. Promiscuous and Amelie. So this shade and this shade, they're like transformative shades. Like once you put it over something, it just transforms. If you put it over Lovesick, Amelie over Lovesick, it transforms. Promiscuous over Lovesick, it transforms. So they're transformative shades. Like what's underneath it will transform it, and it just does a lot, and it gives like a really unique effect when you use it as a transition, as a transforming / topper shade. Really pretty. Lovesick. This shade is the best cranberry red that I have in my collection. The best cranberry red. And I wish they like keep this shade in a single forever because it is that good. Anytime I need a cranberry red, I grab Lovesick. So ranked at number 6, we have the Dark Matter stack. This stack came out alongside at the same time with the Love Six stack back I think in 2015 or 2016. This stack is your traditional smoky eye stack. So you got a very light peachy brown, mid-tone brown, you got a dark brown, and you got a black. So you got everything that you need for a smoky eye. You can easily do a look for it. It is all matte, so it does pair well with the other Melt shadows. Pair it with Rust, you can pair it with Mary Jane. Like this goes with everything because it's neutral. You have your neutral mattes. You can do so much with this. You could add depth, you can do your blending, you could do all of it. So that's why I really like this stack, and I think everybody needs to have like a good like smoky stack that you can like use by itself as well as add to other things. A lot of people want Melt to come out with a dark matter palette. I've been waiting for a dark matter palette. I thought they would have by now, but I think they're trying to like do the more popular ones first. I want to see what other 4 shades they add to it, like the in-between shades. I want to see what they add to it. I want to see packaging. I just want to see all of it. So ranked at number 5, you guys are probably like, why is this at number 5? This should be at number 1. It's not my number 1. All right, ranked at number 5 we have Muerte. So this is the other half to the Amor Eterno eyeshadow palettes. So the one half is Vida, the other half is Muerte, and it creates this beautiful lovely skull together. So this is Muerte. This I think is the second most popular palette that Melt has ever come out with. A lot of people want it, and I can understand why they want it. The blues, the teals, that's what grabbed me with this palette. Those two. Corazon, that red though, one of the prettiest pink reds. Then like you have other Melt reds, your burgundy shades, which obviously can be duped, but it's like these 6 shades over here. You got a gray. Melt doesn't really do like blue grays. So that gray right here, which is called Pantheon, it's really, very, very, very beautiful. But the teals and the blues, because Melt doesn't really do teal and blue that much, so a lot of people like it for the teals and blues. And this has been solely discontinued, and people are charging an arm and a leg for Muerte. I bought mine in the big PR set, so which took me like 3 months to open, and then I was supposed to do a video on it. If you guys would like to still see a more Eternal collection review, I still have everything: the brushes, the eyeliners, the palettes, obviously the highlighter, the lipsticks. Like I have everything. If you want to see a review on these, just let me know. But Muerte is fire. Like I love it for my blue looks. I love pairing it with Blueprint, by the way. Like very, 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 very gorgeous palette. So ranked at number 4, we have the Blueprint stack slash palette. Obviously you can see my Blueprint stack is a little bit beat up. There were a lot of problems with this when it first came out. Like shades were puffing up, shattering. Mine did. I was able to press them back down. Obviously you can see mine is very, 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 very used and battered. I do have a backup of this stack though, so I'm trying to use these up before my palette, so that's why my palette's kind of pristine. But yeah, they turned it into a palette recently, back in like January, and this ranks at number 4 because when this palette came out, I was like, Melt is doing blue! They're doing blue! We're finally getting blue! Oh my god, because Melt does not do blues. Melt does not do blues. So that's why a lot of people were like very excited about this. But when this stack came out, I was disappointed. I was disappointed because when they said they're doing a Blueprint collection, I was expecting the entire palette to be blue. A lot of people were expecting it to be blue. But when we saw it had the browns, the warm coppery browns in here, I was just like, but we have those shades from Melt already. We have very similar shades from Melt already. We don't need those. Just give us a full blue palette. But now, looking like 2 years after this came out, I can understand why they put the coppery neutral browns in here. So, if you don't know basic color theory, blue and orange are on opposite sides of the color wheel. They're complementary colors. So that means if you put them side by side, they make each other pop. So I can see why. It's just to help ground the blue shades, so it's not crazy like blue, you know? Blue is one of the hardest colors to work with in makeup. It can either go really, really bad or really, really good. There's not really an in-between. Anytime I do like a blue look, it's a royal blue look, and this is usually what's on my eyes. In the collection, they also came up with the new collection with the palette. They also came up with like eyeliners, and the eyeliners are very, very pretty. So yes, if you would like to see like Blueprint palette revisited, Blueprint collection revisited 2 years later video, let me know in the comments down below. Ranked at number 3, we have Miss Millenial Pinx. So the Millenial Pinx palette, this came out February 2020, and here we go. Here she is. I don't understand why people don't like this palette. I enjoy this palette. That's why it's in my top 3. Like, people apparently have an issue with the formula. Like, such a beautiful. They're like very creamy. They are a little bit chunky, but like they're very soft, very creamy. People said the mattes don't blend. What the heck are you people talking about? The mattes blend phenomenally. Mattes blend phenomenally. I don't know what people were talking about when they said the mattes don't blend in this palette. But I think a lot of people don't know how melt shadows work. Like the neutrals work best over like anything. Like a wet base, a powder base, lightly powder base, heavily powdered base. Like the neutrals work that. But when you get to the colors for melt, they tend to work the best over a wet base. They tend to walk that line of like pressed pigmenty of a regular shadow and a pressed pigment. That's how like Melt's colorful shadows are like. So they tend to work best over a wet base. But this palette can work on like wet or powdered. It's such a gorgeous palette. It's a very romantic palette. Like, I would wear this for bridal makeup. I will wear this just if I just want to wear pink. I just want to be pretty in pink. Like, I would just wear this palette. It's so good. I love pairing this, like I said before, with She's in Parties. I think the berry tones in She's in Parties really complements Millenial Pinx if I just simply don't want to just use Millenial Pinx by itself. But this is so beautiful. Like, just the pink, probably because pink is my favorite color. I do recommend that everybody have this palette in their collections if they want to have something like pink or pink adjacent. Ranked at number 2 is Smoke Sessions. Obviously, this looks very, very new. This is actually my second Smoke Sessions palette. My first Smoke Sessions palette broke. But yeah, this is my number 2 melt palette. And the reason why is because the 4 middle shades. So Mean Green, Space Green, Sour Diesel, and Black Widow. These 4 shades are amazing. Anytime I do a teal look, I always gotta use Mean Green and Sour Queen. And then whenever I'm doing an olive look, for the most part, I will use Black Widow and Sour Diesel. Like, this palette is one of my favorite palettes. I grab it a lot. And when this palette came out, I didn't think I would grab it a lot because of the teals and the more olive, antique olive shades, but I actually find myself pulling this out a lot, and I was very, very, very surprised at that. If you want a melt palette and you don't want to go the traditional neutral route and you want a little bit of uniqueness, I would definitely say pick up Smoke Sessions. Like, a lot of people like myself, like, they saw Smoke Sessions, they're just like, how am I going to incorporate that into my routine? But surprisingly, a lot of people love and use this, and I love and use it, and I use this more than I thought I would. Ranked at number 1, you guys probably knew this from the very beginning, and that is the Melt Rust palette slash stack. So obviously, it was a stack first. This was the original Melt Rust stack, and then it was just turned into the palette last March, so March 2020. I think with this, just for the Rust shade, this shade right here, Rust, I've gone through 6 of these since the stack came out. Like, I had the like extra singles because this is like my favorite, like my favorite eyeshadow. Like, if I was to have an eyeshadow and you were to think of me, it would be Rust, literally. I use it as bronzer. I've used it in my crease as transition. I've used it as blush. Like, it's a very multi-use shade, and I love it. You could do something very warm, very light. You could do something very dark and smoky. You could do a brown smoky eye, which is not going to be as harsh as like a black smoky eye that you would get with dark matter. When the palette came out, I was really happy. I was really, really happy. Obviously, basically almost all the original colors are the same except for Rot Squared. It is not the same exact color as the original Rot. Rot Squared is a lot deeper, it's a lot richer, it's a lot darker. A mustard yellow called a Roe. This is a very, very beautiful color. Very, very beautiful color. Road, and they added Tarnish and Redox and Ravage, and like they added like the in-between shimmer shades that I wanted in the original Rust stack. The Rust stack was great. You have your transition shades, but they added the shimmers in there to like for you to complete a full look. And my favorite neutral palette ever. Like, you will not catch me slipping without this palette. This palette goes with me everywhere. The Rust palette goes with me everywhere. I take it traveling. The stack too. The stack came with me traveling. This comes with me when I travel. This is what I wear personally almost every day, this palette. Any black person who is looking for melt and has no idea where to start with this one. I have recommended this palette to so many people and they love it. Like, this palette is the ultimate black girl friendly. Like, the other palettes are good, but like, this is the one that this will be a fan favorite because I know a lot of black girls like warm neutral tones. This is that palette for you. And this is the one melt palette, if you can only pick one, that this I would recommend you and I would tell you to get. And this is the one, if I only had to have one melt palette, it would just be this one. So that's it for today, you guys. So that is the ranking of my entire melt collection. Which melt shadows do you have? Are there some that are on your wish list? Are there some that you wished you had but they are discontinued? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And don't forget to follow me on my social media. My Instagram and my Twitter are Gbemi Abiola. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.